You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Kersti Moss, professional dog trainer from Dog Training Camp USA in Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome, Kersti.
Hi, Polly. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming back. And I thought today we could just do a public service announcement about leaving your dog at home when we are in the middle of a heat wave.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So even I'm in North Carolina. I mean, if you're even any part of the country has some pretty bad high temperatures, and we're susceptible to the heat, but dogs are just as much.
Yeah, and I just, as you're talking, I'm going to find it, but I posted on Bark and Wag, which I posted what the signs are for if if your dog is having heat issues. And I think it's important that people just leave their dogs at home. I mean, whether you're going to a festival or an outdoor concert, the cement is hot.
Yeah.
People, it's stressful.
Especially if you're out and about at an event, you're going to want to be having fun. You might not be paying attention to your dog the whole time, and your dog can get overheated really quickly. So that's an important piece to remember, that you think it might be fun to include them, but they're probably a lot safer at home. And if you want to do some fun things with them or make sure that they get plenty of attention, just walk them early in the morning or in the evening, stay off the pavement, and make sure they have plenty of water. But your best bet is them staying home during the middle of the day.
Yeah, so it says that heat stroke can occur in less than 15 minutes. And some signs of heat stroke are heavy panting, difficulty breathing, excessive thirst, a bright red tongue and mucous membranes, which turn gray as shock sets in. The dog will collapse, have seizures, go into a coma, organ failure, and death.
Yeah, and one thing that brings to mind is some dogs are much more heat tolerant. You need to be very careful if you have a short-nosed dog like a Frenchie or a pug or bully breeds, mastiffs. They have a lot harder time cooling themselves, so they're even more susceptible to all those things. And it can happen so fast. You might think you're out having fun and they can overheat really, really quickly. And sometimes for the short-faced dogs, it's fatal.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, which people are so dumb, I'm sorry, but do not leave your car running with your air on for 3 hours while you go have lunch, and put your dog in the back of the car in a crate.
Yeah.
Because there is no air circulation. And even with my car, which is a newer car, when you are not accelerating, everything lowers. So that the air is not flowing as much as when I'm accelerating. So how you could leave your dog in the back of a car and have a 3-hour lunch is beyond me.
Yeah. I mean, if you need to go somewhere with your dog and you're taking them with you and you have to leave them in there, it's okay to leave the car running with the air on. If you're parked in the shade and for maybe 15 minutes, I don't know, I would never feel comfortable, going to lunch and leaving my dog in the car, even if my car is running. Cars can still malfunction. It's just, they're safer at home. You're better off taking a trip back home to drop your dog off if you know you're going to be at a long lunch. There's just no excuse for that.
Yeah. The other thing is that, like we've done when we're traveling, is gotten everyone out of the car, gotten the water, put the dogs underneath the tree, and then the girls will run in and get the food.
Yeah.
And then, or vice versa, where if I'm traveling alone, then I just find a tree, put them underneath the tree with the water, but I definitely get them out of the car because it's just stifling.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just kind of things to think about. Just leave your dog at home.
Yeah, they're better off at home where it's cool. They've got their bed, they can get water. And if you're feeling guilty about not taking your dog with you, just find some other quality things to do with them earlier in the morning or later in the day. It's easier on them that way too. It's just better to leave your dog at home.
Okay, well, thank you for being on the podcast, and we look forward to having you back.
Same here. I'm looking forward to next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.